Hello everyone, Scott Chanel here. This is my Alpha 360 Stone Company Air Transportation Analysis presentation. To start out, we can save 584 hours. That is the minimum number of work hours that we can save simply by switching to on-demand transportation. It's a staggering number. One thing that we set out to accomplish was how can we save our employees time? How can we save our company money? How can we begin small and scale up? And what requirements do we need to think about? So to start out, I have selected 4 primary aircraft that we can use to switch to on-demand transportation to. So these are the 4 that I have come up with. We have the TBM 930, the Pilatus PC-12, the Citation M2, and the PC-24. All right, so these 4 aircraft can be broken down into 2 subcategories. So we have a category of turboprop, which is the TBM 930 and the PC-12. And then we have the small business jet, such as the PC-24 and the M2. All right. Simply by transitioning to an on-demand travel, we save so much time. Like we just talked about, a minimum 500 plus hours. Now, to save time, we have to spend money. All right. And so that has a cost associated with it as well. And like I talked about, the turboprop and the turbine aircrafts have their advantages and disadvantages. So we're going to discuss those as well. And so in this presentation, I'm simulating that I have given out to the decision makers a packet full of the charts and comparison charts and graphs that I have created already for each aircraft and plotted it out in an easy to read format. So here is in a chart that's in that packet in front of you, and this is our time versus cost analysis. So on the left side we see our cost, and on the right, on the bottom, we see the time associated. All right, so for each of our aircraft, we have plotted the cost associated with the flight time at that hourly rate. Okay, the red line that goes diagonally from the 0, axis up into the top right, that's our charter option, and I have laid out in the packet in front of you the costs associated per hour with charter, depending on 50 hours and annual use, up to closer to 300, 400, and 500 hours of annual use. And that's something to keep in mind as we think about how much we're going to be using the aircraft. We can see that for a majority of our airplanes, somewhere around the 150 hour mark, it is more cost beneficial to avoid charter and fly our own personal aircraft. Beyond that, before that, it is better to use charter and simply charter a flight for those hours. So up first we have the PC-12, and I won't get into all the details and nitty-gritty of each one of these, but the highlighted high-level points, 7-person available to sit in here. It's 4.9 million. Would save 603 hours. Moving to the TBM 930, 4.2, slightly less expensive, seating for 5, so less people can fly, and 584 hours saved. The M2, seating for 7, a little bit more expensive than the TBM 930, 4.7 million, and it would save almost 600 hours for our COO. Moving up to the PC-24, sorry, I didn't have the right picture here, but the PC-24 is a little bit of a larger aircraft, has seating for 8, and it is 8.9 million new cost. So this is going to be a much larger range that we could fly, and it would save 603 hours. In our matrix, we can see I've selected a few important values that we want to consider in this decision and given them a weight. All right. Now, I've already sat down with our COO and some of the other decision makers here in the room here and assigned a value to each of these numbers. That way we have created an accurate scale. Now, all of these, each aircraft is plotted here. They wanted a new aircraft, so that's a pretty even playing field there. All of our aircraft are new. But from there, it changes, and we can look at that more in depth and in detail in the packet in front of you. Now, with this consideration of transitioning from airline travel to on-demand travel, we have some requirements. Maintenance for the aircraft, flight departments and their procedures, the resale market value. I've calculated a few values for similar aircraft that are on the market now, what their price is. So in the future, if we want to scale up and we decide that we need a larger aircraft, what's going to be the value that we're going to get out of this well-maintained, well-taken care of aircraft that we have here? And we can consider that before we even purchase it. And that's going to help us make a wiser decision. It's going to help us make a more intelligent decision in the long run. And with this flight department and their procedures comes the operations manual and the aircraft use policy. So any of our employees can't just hop in the plane and take off, right? So we have to have these procedures and policies in place before day one with the aircraft. That way there's no confusion and everything is above board and everyone knows that what's happening and we're all on the same page. We've already discussed with the accountant and the finance department a lot of the tax and implications that we have with an aircraft of this stature and the cost associated with it. So I hope that this presentation has sort of cleared the air and has lent itself to a very easy decision to make. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks, guys.